Afternoon, welcome to the Sports Talk with Carrie Meyer show for Thursday, July 21st. We're going to be going over, once again, we'll have Southland Conference Media Days today. Also, SEC Media Days will be later. We will do that. We'll do a second show later. That will be SEC, the last day of SEC Media Days. But we are doing the Southland Conference as right now, so we're going to do that right now. So once again, if you want to come in video chat with us, we will send those links to you. And you can come in and say hi or whatever. So that'd be fine. So we're going to go ahead and send those links out to you. And we'll get started in a few minutes. Okay, Facebook and YouTube has the restream link. So if you want to come in, talk anything in the world of sports, that's fine. But right now we're doing Southland Conference Media Days. So we're going to go ahead. I'm going to switch it over to ESPN Plus, and you'll be able to hear what's going on with the Southland Conference. So let me go ahead and put that in. So there it is. Let's go ahead and start it. So once again, Southland Conference Media Days here on Sports Talk with Carrie Meyer show.
How about a couple of draft picks this past year? 10 players signing NFL free agent deals. 4 first-team All-Americans, and then a couple of finalists for the two major awards in the FCS, the Walter Payton Award and the Buck Buchanan Award as well. And I welcome in a couple of the men to my left, all very important people around these parts. Southland Commissioner Chris Grant getting ready to start his first football season. Also, we've got Lake Charles Mayor Nick Hunter, along with Visit Lake Charles SVP of Sales Eric Zartler. Guys, so great to be with you. Commissioner Grant, I'll start with you. You think about the spot that this conference is in, with everything going on around the country with realignment. You bring back one of your long-standing and obviously starting out founders in Lamar. You add in a school in Texas A&M Commerce, making their transition to Division I. Really exciting times for the conference. What are you most excited about now, looking forward to this 2022 season?
You heard me all say it before. Every day I can say, what a great day to be a part of the Southland Conference, Jack. And I think, first off, honoring our 60 years of history is why we're here, right? Points our founding fathers and sisters and brothers and mothers, everything along the way. Honoring Title IX, 50 years, be a part of that. I think our membership, as you mentioned, it's sort of been finally united as a front. I think a lot of times people didn't see this day starting last year, but the familial bond, the united spirit amongst our membership, amongst our 10 universities, but more importantly today, we're going to celebrate the 8th year on the gridiron and kind of go at it with the spirit to show that together we will rise. I think there's a lot more exciting things to come. Here today, you all get a chance to talk to our athletic directors, coaches, and phenomenal student athletes, and most importantly, really talk about our unwavering bond and support for each other along the way. And I think you all see that throughout the year. And it's a big difference from, again, where we were last year. I think we dug deep as a board of directors, and the support from our presidents and support from our athletic directors to stop looking over our shoulders and realize we had to get better at telling our own story. And we did that, and we continue to do that. And there's no finish line to that. And that's what we once realized, that we can't continue to do things and stay put at once did, right? We have to move forward, continue to be innovative, think outside the box, and then charge to be at the forefront and not be afraid of it. Yes, we're dealing with some challenges within our region. We've had some disasters that we've gotten through in the past, but again, that resiliency of this community, speaking here Lake Charles especially, and we'll get to that, but of our family as far as the Southern Conference, the way we all step up and supported each other. That's what attracted me to the opportunity. And, I can't be remiss that I don't mention Tom Burnett. And granted, went to a tough time last year, the last 2 years, but I'm thankful for him showing this opportunity. I'm thankful for being able to keep the conference afloat, and able to allow us to step aboard. I'm thankful for him being an advisor now to us as a conference. Served 19 years, did a phenomenal job men's basketball committee this year, and those things are some didn't get a chance to do in their careers. So definitely thankful for him and the commissioners before him, I should say, or I guess us. At the same time, I say still getting used to that along the way. But definitely thankful for our season around the room today. Without them, we're not been able to continue last year. As I got to really showing them, hey, have the confidence in us to let us do more. And I promise you stick with it, we'll have a brighter day. And I think we've reached, but we're not done yet. I'll tell you that. And I'm not trying to spell any rumors there, so don't catch too many. But also thankful for the media, and media helps accountable throughout there. It was a lot of tough things to read, especially as a new coming aboard. And I tell you, when I was once at Conference USA, it was a time where Conference USA institutions didn't want to play South schools, right? Because it wasn't always an easy W, and it's still not an easy W. But again, get out and tell that story. But the media, at some point held us accountable to telling that story and digging deeper, being better operation as a conference. And I think we've accomplished that as well. And so we'll continue to show that we're going to rise to any challenge throughout the way. I know we talked about a rebrand, throughout all of last year. And as you look at it, heck, we've been pretty strong throughout. And so we'll continue, again, defining who we are, coming up with a brand strategy, that process and route. Can't guarantee, and I'm hitting some of the buzz points here, that, we're going to a totally new name, but at the same time, we're still exploring that and what that looks like, as a staff, when it comes to our institutions and our board of directors and our athletic directors. But, the main point is we're united as one, and that we continue to stay stronger together. The strength is definitely in numbers as we see what's going on in the collegiate landscape today. And you just think about what our student athletes, that's most important. Well, how are we supporting them, right? Mental health, NIL challenges and opportunities, are we presenting those? Are we providing a platform where they have to be successful to go to the next level? You just rattle off. 10, undrafted free agents can't, as you speak up. And I think 2 or 3 of them will have a good chance of starting on Sundays. And I'm looking forward to that. We want to celebrate that because many that come before them that have phenomenal careers, not only in football, but in all of our other sports. And I think, we won't continue to rest our laurels on what we've accomplished previously. We're going to continue moving this thing forward. And it's being leaders in this process. Now, what's that look like in the transformation committee? I'm not going to sit here and say, hey, we know what direction we're going, but we have a commitment from our institutions as a whole, all 10, that will exceed minimum standards or whatever those are set once the transformation committee comes out to that. We're dedicated to improving our brand in other sports. Football, we've had success, right? We're putting 2 or 3 teams in a year annually in the NCAA playoff. Heck, I want to make sure we're hosting 2 teams in Frisco every year, and we're going to continue to host that national championship. And that's very important to us, and thankful for our partners there in Team Frisco and that national championship opportunity. But I want to see some Southland flags flying all across there. And heck, even on college game day, put a Southland flag, put whatever institution flag, make sure you know our name, along the way, and we're not just waiting to that opportunity. But I can't be more proud of our membership for really, entrusting me and leading this conference going forward. And, look, we're not going to stop looking under stones and uncovering, and we're going to be pretty bold about it and seeking out partners that believe in us and that, and what our mission is going forward. And, I wouldn't be remiss again to mention one of our great partners here today. And the D1 patch from USA Natural Patches, we have them in the room today. Couldn't be more thankful for them. Opportunity, right? But partners like that believe in us and see where we're going and know that there's no end and no finish line what our opportunities are. And then last but not least, partners to my left, we have Mayor Nick Hunter and Eric Zartler from Visit Lake Charles. And then it's just a lot of narrative. Yes, at one point in time in membership, Mini State University, they were, looking out. Myself, Heath Schroyer, Dr. Burkell, we had a lot of heart-to-heart conversations, a lot of tough conversations. We always didn't agree and see eye to eye. And publicly, people see that as, Denise has the house, right? Now a competitive advantage. No, this all along, when Heath and I first had our conversation is, how do we build this community back, right? We wanted to make sure that all of our members supported each other, because if anybody else went through this in our conference, and the natural disasters they experiencing too, and Mayor Hunter, he's done a phenomenal job and make sure they have the resources now to build this going forward. And we want to be a part of that as a conference. And so that's why we're bringing our championship opportunity. My first athletic director, I heard it loud and clear. 2 years, one mile, that we needed to really modernize our championship, get it back to a format when it comes to basketball and some of our other events, to make sure that the communities can come out, really feel it, and let alone being the central part of our footprint. And you don't get more central between here and Beaumont and coming down. And so, yeah, will it lead to a little home cooking? No, Heath, right? And along the way, not at all. We're going to make this as neutral as possible and create that student-athlete experience. That's bar none. So I just want to answer that and dispel all those rumors, but we couldn't be more thankful than the hospitality and the partnership that we have with the city of Lake Charles and Visit Lake Charles. And our volunteers today, you'll see a lot more of them. So please pull them aside later.
Yeah, no, there's so much good stuff there. Obviously, Mayor Hunter, I'll bring you in here. First off, congrats on getting your first home game of the year right here today. As Commissioner Grant talks about with all the things moving forward, the partnership, just talk us through what this means to be here. First time Media Day has been in Lake Charles since 2016, and really what folks can expect looking forward about this region and what this is going to mean.
Sure. Well, thank you. And gentlemen, we're thrilled to host y'all. Welcome to Lake Charles. For some that may not know, Lake Charles has been through a lot over the last couple of years. Lake Charles and Southwest Louisiana, a string of unprecedented natural disasters. But when I look today, I see the progress. I see where we've come today versus just the days and weeks after Hurricane hit us in 2020, and I'm amazed. And, you know, it's not the federal government, it's not local government, it's the people. It's the people here in Southwest Louisiana that are absolutely our greatest asset. So I know that Southwest Louisiana is very excited about this opportunity. We're very excited about the relationship between Southland Conference and McNeese and Southwest Louisiana. I am a McNeese alum myself, so it means a lot for me to see that relationship strong and see that relationship grow. And I can tell you that I've had a chance to visit with Commissioner Grant, and I think the Southland Conference is in decent hands right now. I do think there's a lot of energy. I think there's a lot of passion there. And so Southwest Louisiana and Lake Charles just really honored to be a part of this success story. And again, to everybody that's here today that's not from here, welcome to Lake Charles. We're honored to host you. Thanks.
And Eric, when we talk about, obviously, with Visit Lake Charles, tell us about the economic side a little bit. The future championships, of course, they here, the community. What's this going to do moving forward?
You know, it's one of those things when the news came out and it was announced that we'd host media days and we'd host, boys and girls or men's and women's basketball championships, softball and baseball. I had to read my phone 2 or 3 times and just was kind of shocked. It's huge. Anytime we can bring people into town, showcase what we have here, to the mayor's point, the people of Southwest Louisiana, Commissioner Grant alluded a little bit to our volunteers that we have here today. We have 15 volunteers here today that we got in under a week's notice, and that's what the people of Southwest Louisiana do. That's what they bring to the table, and they're going to make those championships a memorable experience for all the coaches, student athletes, fans. Encourage all the alumni associations and stuff to bring their fan base to Southwest Louisiana, and let's make it the best possible conference championships that it can be. You see the ACC and the SEC championships on TV, and people are waiting in line and everything else. That's what I envision at the Legacy Center. That's what I envision. If you were in Lake Charles for the baseball championships this past year, the crowds were amazing, just full of energy on both sides, not just the McNeese side. So we're super excited to have that here in Lake. It's tremendous for Heath and the job Dr. Burkell and Heath did to work with Commissioner Grant and bringing those here.
Commissioner Grant, you think about being here, and obviously Media Day and the championships are part of it, but now the conference as a whole and the way that things are moving, I guess in terms of next steps now, because we're here, 8 schools, you think about the expansion and kind of wild the way that in a year things can shift. So what's next now? Which direction, and how do you go about moving that direction?
Yeah, and direction we're moving right now, we're going to focus on what we can control right now. We have 10 members that we need to serve and serve at a high level to ensure that we can maintain that stability. But at the same time, look, our phone's on 24/7, right? We're going to continue. I think I've proven that we're going to be aggressive. And it's not just me, it's the support, again, of our board of directors, our presidents, and our athletic directors. We're going to look at things and members that make sense in that. And we're not looking to add just to be a super conference of any sort, because it doesn't benefit us as much as it does some of our Power 5, colleagues. in a day. But at the same time, we want to create opportunities that, and you all heard me say this before, hopefully it's a gas tank conference, right? We want to make sure that we know what resources we're working with, and we're not spending that getting on charter flights left and right for conference games. We want to make sure grandma, grandpa, family, significant others can make every game, every event, and be a gas tank here and a gas tank home. We'll be back. We know what gas prices are right now, so I take that responsibility on that. And hey, Eric can help out with that. Talking to some of our energy partners here in the region, we'll take it. But at the end of the day, look, we're going to continue to identify who fits for us and definitely listen for all opportunities.
At the same time, I want to ask you this quickly too. In terms of movement, conference shifting is going to happen. It's inevitable. We know the way things are moving. Are there things you're doing as well to be prepared in case schools do move on? Is it just a constant battle of being able to realize, okay, this could happen, that sort of thing?
Yeah, that's a great point. And it's something we talk about, weekly or bi-weekly in athletic directors room, as well with our presidents on bi-monthly basis. It's, what is the landscape shifting? And we know it's a trickle-down effect that happens. I think so. It's a group of 5 conferences out there kind of in the limbo of what will happen next. And with my former opportunity at the Pac-12 and see if they'll look to get to 12 again or stay at 10. And so for me, in my seat, it's my job to keep the membership informed and make sure that we're meeting all automatic qualifiers as it relates to the NCAA, but make sure that we're staying bold and continue to have our swagger and identifying who would be next up in that situation. And so with that said, look, again, we're going to control what we can control and not panic. And I think that's a big move. And having Lamar join us and UIW again back to get to 10, a really good number. Are we set on that number? No. And I think if we continue conversations with our board and athletic director to see what makes sense.
I think at this time we're going to open it up to Q&A as well. So if you are a media affiliation and you have a question, just raise your hand, give us your name, your affiliation, and then you can ask the question for Commissioner Grant, Mayor Hunter, or visit Lake Charles SVP of Sales, Eric Zarkler, if anyone wants to start. Let's get him a mic in the back.
Ashley. Sorry about that. Ashley from KBMT Beaumont. Commissioner, we were just joking before I got here. I didn't know I was headed to Lake Charles until last Monday. How hectic was it to get Lamar in at the last minute?
Hectic is not the word. You think of hectic times 10, and that's the word along the way. But look, I want Lamar and Jeff O'Malley, I think he's here, there, that new athletic director. And look, he came in and started on July 5th, and Jeff and I go back a little bit, but at the same time, he was serving in 2 roles. And I think we really had to take a look in, and we're working on, 3 or 4. And Jack asked me, how are we preparing? We had scenarios in place for a little bit of everything as we saw how things were playing out amongst the landscape. And so, yes, it was very hectic. But it's a positive factor that we'll welcome any day of the week because we're so glad to have them back and appreciate Dr. Taylor, President Lamar, really having the faith in us to make the move early and make the jump. And so we'll continue to move forward with other schedules along the way. I know it caused some angst amongst our SIDs and coaches and student athletes as people are trying to plan for the fall, as well as, what people are not talking about is our Olympic sports, right? And volleyball and women's soccer and what that looks like. So, look, phenomenal opportunity with Mark Cardinals to be back in our league. And again, we're going to continue to celebrate that as much as we can.
Jim Gazzolo, American Press. Real quick, Commissioner, do you have a number you want to tap out at? And are you looking for D1 schools instead of D2 schools coming up so that be immediately eligible for playoffs?
Yeah, and Jim, great question. And I think, most of all opportunities on the table, what fits? I talked about regionally, right? But, so I don't want to eliminate that we're not looking at anything. The priority is Division I institutions that we want to add. And we want to add them within this footprint, right? And then we're not looking, again, to get on a flight or anything of that nature. And so, right now, I can't harm enough. We're in control what we can control, but at the same time, continue to have those conversations along the way of, who will be next. Look, as I said earlier, the phone's on 24/7. Now, my marriage may be in jeopardy because I spent more time with Jeff O'Malley and Richard Duran and the staff and to talk about some other members as of recent. But at the same time, look, my phone is on, and it has been more reach at this time coming in than it has been of us going out and actively recruiting members as we did for the last 7 months. And definitely a great position to be in. But at the same time, look, I'm the son of a basketball coach. I know what it means to stay on and stay ready, so you don't have to prepare down the road.
Commissioner Matt Fay, Beaumont Enterprise. A lot of rivalries in this conference. One of the more traditional and bigger ones, McNeese and Lamar, kind of gets renewed. Can you speak to the importance of that relationship and how that kind of played into maybe coming back into the conference?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, look, rivalries are an important thing in college athletics, and we just went through this last scheduling reiteration, and I'm going to touch on your question, but as we went through this, we tried to make it everything we could possibly work in the sense that we had some permanent, I won't say permanent, we had some scheduling conflicts that our scheduler, myself, and Associate Commissioner Bruce Ludlow, we really took a deep look at it. And I think, Bruce, we spent too much time, we're a little close to each other every day trying to figure this out and put the puzzle together, and it was tough. But, going forward, the rivalries are most important thing in order to keep our Southland brand. I mean, that's the brand recognition, right? And what our passion is. If you look at increasing enrollments and everything else on campus to help our presidents out in communities, we have to make sure we maintain those, and that will be a priority as we move forward in the scheduling process. But Lamar, come on, that's one of the ones that goes back in time. That it'll be some. Look, I'm looking forward to coming down, and I think I might look forward to the tailgates a little more than anything, and getting some of the food down in the region. But looking forward, Beaumont and Lake Charles being so close, right across the bridge, and being a part of that.
Commissioner Sheldon Nichols with the Baton Rouge Advocate. You talked about the angst with the scheduling, and you just alluded to the rivalries. Was McNeese and Northwestern State kind of a tough call because of Northwestern State has no more rivalries now? They lost Stephen F. Austin, and now they lose McNeese. How close did you come to keeping them? I know you had to get Lamar with McNeese.
Yeah, no, great question. And it's something been a topic of conversation, and it wasn't just topic of conversation after the fact, but going into it. And when Bruce and myself and our schedule in that part were looking at these items, it was, it's a priority. And that game was on the schedule, right? And it continued to be on the schedule in certain scenarios. But you get a Lamar to come back, and you look at some of the scheduling conflicts, you add an eighth team to the mix, and understanding that you still had teams that needed to go get games and create those opportunities too. So as a commissioner, my job is to look at the total landscape of it all. And yes, I want to take care of everyone independently, but it was just totally impossible situation without causing someone 4 or 5 straight home game or away games, or even 4 or 5 straight home games, or plan a schedule to take them to the furthest member and then being on the road for 2 more weeks and then coming back and playing a home game. They were having a bye the last week. So asking student athletes to go 10 straight weeks in competition. There's things that at the conference we're going to prioritize the student athlete health a little more than anything else. And so all those things factored into that decision. And trust me, we won't miss again on that, and we're going to try our best to make sure going forward that doesn't happen ever in this conference. Hey, Jim.
Round 2 already. There we go.
This week, Deion Sanders talked about historically black colleges and universities needing to kind of look for alternative ways to raise their revenue. We've seen great crowds when Southern came here, and that. Have you looked into that possibly as adding Division I schools and kind of it'd be kind of a touchy political ground, but kind of is that an option?
As far as adding HBCUs? Yeah, look, Jim, when I first came in, and that was a vision of Tom Burnett, to be quite honest, adding more diversity to our league. I mean, right now we have 3, possibly 4 on the verge of Hispanic serving institutions. So the idea was to create the most diverse Division I conference in the history of NCAA. And I think that goal has not gone by the wayside. And we want to celebrate the diversity. I think we've made a big push this past year as a conference, not only in the conference office, but our membership, and participate in a lot of diversity efforts with the Institute of Sport and Social Justice. And so that's a commitment to us. Definitely not looking at, here today and say, hey, we're active having conversations there. But as opportunities present themselves, yes, if we can elevate someone's platform and be a part of this and create those revenue generating opportunities, whether it be through membership or sponsorships, and our great partner Van Wagner is here represented today as well. We want to continue to look at those. And, we're going to be aggressive in that too. Aggressiveness doesn't stop in realignment, but it continues and really festers all throughout when it comes to revenue generation, sponsorships, the membership, all ongoing to the way we're scheduling and going about it, and how we want to very strategically better our Olympic sports and our basketball profile.
I think we've got to wrap here in just a second. One quick thing for you, Commissioner Grant. Grant, too, that we should probably mention. We were talking about all the accolades of student athletes, the draft picks, the All-Americans. About Byron Boston as well, Art McNally Award recipient by the NFL. Real quick, talk about that and what that means for the conference.
I mean, for now, first of all, Byron Boston, he's here in the room today. If you all see him, the red polo here, well, I want to personally thank him, and we got to spend a ton of time together. But hey, the legend prevails. As I see, and our coaches speak so highly of Byron. We're so grateful for the partnership that Tom created back with Bob Bowlesby and the Big 12 when this all came about. And Byron keeps us at the forefront of everything when it comes to all officiating, and he is the model himself and his program. That's what we want for all of our officiating programs, being recognized and respected from the coaches groups and our student athletes and our are they catching every angle? No. That's my job to get them more camera angles as we look throughout and better quality. But at the same time, he puts the best of the best on the field. You know, annually have the best of officials that are represented in the national championship game. Hopefully that's not the case going forward because we want teams playing in it. So hope it's a conflict of interest and they can't be participating. But at the same time, we couldn't be more thankful to Byron and what he's done for this conference. And he single-handedly has played a big role in raising our profile as a football conference.
Well, thanks so much, all you guys. We're up to a great start. Commissioner Grant, Mayor Hunter, Eric, thanks so much. We are going to take a quick break. We'll come back with the defending conference champion UIW Cardinals. We'll visit with first-year head coach G.J. Kinney, Kelechi Onyelebechi, linebacker, and wide receiver Taylor Grimes. After this, as well as South Media Day, presented by BuyB1.com.
The B1 Performance Patch. Elevate.
Head coach, along with All-American wide receiver Taylor Grimes, three-time All-Conference linebacker Kelechi Onyelebechi. Guys, so great to have you here. GJ, I'll start with you. I know you're a tech guy. You're back home, in a sense, in the area. First head coaching job, though. You've got a terrific background of people you've learned from. What's this experience been like? How has the start of year one been for you at UIW?
Yeah, it's been great. Undefeated right now, so loves me, but it's been really good. A lot of hard work, and but Taylor and Kelechi, here with me and getting these guys going has been really good.
When you think about this opportunity specifically and all the assistant jobs you've had and different spots you've been, why are you prepared now for this opportunity at this time?
Yeah, I just think my background and the people I've been around, the coaches I've been around, really molded me for this opportunity. And I believe God, put me on this earth to coach football and to develop young men and mold young men. And so, yeah, it's exciting to be in San Antonio, excited to be back in Texas.
Taylor, I'll go to you here. You think about the season that you had personally, that the offense had. What has it been like so far meshing with coach? I'm sure there are obviously some new offensive philosophies, maybe keeping some of what you've done. What have things been like so far?
Yeah, obviously it's going to be a little different bringing in a new staff, a new head coach, but for the most part, just tried to keep everything the same. And, we're trying to score as many points as we can like we did last year. So that's our philosophy on offense, score as many points as we can. So we're going to try to do that again this year.
Kelechi, same to you. Some different pieces on defense. You have a bunch of guys back, but the coaching staff's a little new. You've been here, I think it's 5 years. It probably feels like longer with how many of your games I've called. What's it been like being leader of this group and trying to mesh some of the new pieces that you have?
All praise to the Most High. I'm very grateful for this opportunity. New staff they bring in too is just a blessing. I feel like nothing can go wrong now. I feel like we have all the right pieces now. Amazing coach Packy, and Coach GJ bringing him in. It's just a blessing. Him bringing that experience from him being in Miami for 6 years, and bringing that over here. It's just a blessing. I'm ready to, know what he knows to, just contract mindset from him, being a great linebacker, especially for my second year playing linebacker. So, I'm still fresh to the position, so I'm real blessed to be in this position.
Coach, you mentioned all the mentors you've had, and I know one of them is a guy who currently is over at UTSA in terms of Coach Traylor. Tell us a little bit about how special that is to have both of you coaching at San Antonio schools for a guy you played for and obviously someone that you look up to and have that kind of relationship. What's that been like so far?
Yeah, Jeff's been awesome throughout the whole process. I got to play for him my senior year and just a guy that I really leaned on throughout this whole process. We got to work together at SMU and Arkansas, and then continued that relationship at his different stops. And so, yeah, when we got to both San Antonio, I'm going to be in the son's wedding, Jordan, and really excited about that. And Jeff's, family to me. So, being in San Antonio and getting to share our families and all that's been really special.
Take us through a little bit offensively, your philosophy. We've gotten so used to the air raid attack and all the different weapons. We saw the season that Taylor had last year, becoming an All-American. I'll ask him that in a second. But what's your style going to be? What's your philosophy? What's kind of your goal of what football team we'll see from IW this year offensively?
Yeah, I think we're going to, keep things for the most part the same. Keeping Coach Mack Leftwich and promoting him to OC and letting him continue to coach the quarterbacks and Jordan Shoemaker's O-line, run game coordinator, Clint Killover coach, and assistant head coach. So, retaining those three guys on offense, we wanted to keep as much the same as we could. And then obviously we're going to tweak some things, bring in some things that I've done in the past, and continue to build this thing and evolve. And every year is different. So we're going to suit, the offense, the skill set, and the players we have.
I think about all the guys that you've worked under, Doug Peterson, Chad Morris, Chip Kelly, Ryan Day. You can go down the line for a long time and then list everyone. So you're taking, I'm guessing, this is of everybody that you've learned from, and then also applying what they've done here in the past.
Yeah, for sure. That's exactly right. And been around, been very fortunate to be around some of the best, play callers, offensive minds, the game scene, and so just taking a little, bits and pieces of that, and like I said, combining that with what they've done here, and been very successful. And I've been a fan of Eric Morse for a long time. He actually recruited my brother to Texas Tech, so we've had a relationship, and so he's helped with this process as well. So, really appreciate him.
Taylor, in terms of the season that you had a year ago, I think about the start of your career at Illinois State. I know injuries were part of it for you and didn't get as many opportunities, but over 1,000 yards, the 15 touchdowns, led the FCS. You said pretty much you can think of a couple of games you were right near 200 receiving yards. What allowed you to be so successful last year? Maybe defensive backs the conference won't like to hear this. How do you get even better?
Well, like you said, at Illinois State, I was there for 3 years, and I kind of dealt with some injuries. But I think that kind of made me to the receiver, I am today, made me work harder, through the rehab process, because my ACL my sophomore year, and that rehab process gets pretty tough. So, going through that made me tougher, maybe stronger. And then getting here to UIW was just, it was a good opportunity here with the offense last year. We had some good players. And our offense just meshed really well last year, and we made a lot of big plays, so we're going to continue to do that this year.
Kelechi, similar question to you. I think about the first time you stepped on campus, you've been a tackling machine, and it's just gotten better and better. 130 tackles for you last year, top 5 mark in the FCS, an All-American season for you as well. Same kind of question. Where do you think you improved the most last year, and now how do you take your game to the next level?
How do I take my game to the next level is, like I said, with Coach DJ bringing in Coach Becky, that mindset, I feel like each life, you get someone, a different mentor that brings you, builds you up as a better player each year. So I feel like this year, especially me being new to the position, linebacker, and me having a veteran coach, a very young veteran coach that I connect with very well, to just bring me up as a player, and then him just, impacting the rest of the players, impacting me to be better for everybody else around me. So I feel that's the best decision God put for me. I praise to God. I'm very blessed to be in the situation. I'm grateful I stay here another year, play alongside Coach DJ.
Coach, I think about new coaches stepping in at the FCS level especially, and you're always wondering, okay, what's the quarterback situation going to be? It's hard to replace a guy like Cameron Ward. We know what he was able to do as a couple-time All-American. But to get a veteran like Lindsey Scott, who has done it not only at this level but in this conference, and a guy who has shown the ability to not only pass the ball but run the ball, what's it been like working with him so far? What have you and your staff seen from him so far?
Yeah, Lindsey's been tremendous. Exactly what you said. I think losing Cam, a talent like him, obviously was tough. And when Lindsey decided to hop in the portal, I didn't know much about him. Obviously, our coaching staff did. So when I started to recruit him and really get to know him as a person, and him getting into the building, he's been tremendous. He's really been that, first guy in, last guy out, extremely intelligent. And obviously he's learning a new system, but being able to get a veteran like Lindsey on our football team is exactly what we needed. So, I'm really excited about Lindsey and what he did this spring and continuing to do this summer as a leader. I think you kind of see him in the spring, kind of filling everything out, trying to figure where he stands. And then this summer really taking off as a leader and more of a vocal leader. But his athleticism and his arm talent is something that is very special, and I'm excited to work with him. And we got a couple other really good quarterbacks that they're going to battle out for during training camp. There's no starters named at any position. I think that's the best thing, about what we have is the talent and the depth of our football team, and so it's going to be a battle during training camp, kind of like NFL mindset. Who's going to be the 53 standing and who's going to make the travel roster, and we're going to get after it. It's going to be a tough, hard training camp, and we need veteran leadership to show up, and hopefully Lindsey does that.
You led me into something I wanted to ask you too, Coach, which is you have the NFL background in the Giant system, the Jets, the Eagles, time in the CFL as well. How do you apply those experiences now to your first team job and also sort of the way you go about molding your team?
Yeah, I think everyone always asks me what's the NFL like and the mindset, and I think the biggest thing the NFL taught me is every day is a job interview. You're especially in my position, low man on the totem pole, last man on the roster type guy is that you got to bring it every day, and one bad throw, bad decision can impact your career tremendously. So we try to bring that every day to our program at UIW, and we bring it every day, and we've got a great strength staff and Brett Hughes. And he really embodies what we want to be as a Cardinal, and I think it starts there in the summer workouts, and they've done a great job.
Taylor, I was asking Coach about the quarterback situation and Lindsey coming in. For you personally, with the season you had working, obviously with Cameron, how do you now go about, whether it's Lindsey or someone else, some of the guys that are mixing, gelling with them quickly and getting yourself back to where you go, but working with a new quarterback?
I think it's just gaining the trust of your quarterback. Your quarterback has to be able to trust that you'll make a play when the ball's in there. And then just repetition, throughout the spring, I can tell the improvement with the quarterbacks and the timing receivers. So it's just getting as many reps as you can, for that first game, and that's it.
Clutchy, last year, and I think rightfully so, the offense got a lot of the storylines, but defensively, in terms of you guys being able to pull out key wins, it was getting stops at the end. In this conference, there's not a day off in terms of the quarterbacks who's available. I look at you guys from a preseason all-conference perspective, from an all-conference perspective a year ago. You led the way in honorees. You got 6 guys in defense for preseason all-conference, and I think about the linebacking core. You have a couple terrific defensive backs, a guy like Isaiah Paul, Elliott Davidson, Brandon Richard, guys who have been around. Take me through the defense, where you feel like you guys are at, and just how much talent you have in terms of that side of the ball.
So on defense, it's not about the guys that are starting at the starting 11 when they walk on the field. We have a whole group of guys who are all starters. We have an amazing group of talent guys. So even if the preseason says who's this, who's that, who's that, I'm pretty sure, and I'll let you know now, we have a whole team full of first team conference players. So I feel like us being with each other for 3 years, we built that strong relationship where we have that trust issue, And, I wouldn't say we did really as much as we did last year. We didn't do that last year, just being honest with you. So we need to improve, and we'll improve, because we're not set for less this year. Last year was all about the offense, that's a good thing too, but defense championship. So we can't play a part in every game. It can't be a high-scoring game because, offensive scoreboard, we're going to rate their offense score, So I feel like we have a different mindset this year, They'll do it right now.
I'm going to put you on the spot here because I know you're the right guy. In terms of schematically, you don't have to go too much in detail, but run, pass, certain things, third down defense specifically, you guys have been talking about, really thinking about queuing in on in camp so far.
So Coach Beck, he's a new coach. We're still putting on new defense and like that. So I really give you any schemes of any out packages and everything like that right now. But week 1 against Southern Illinois, you'll see.
Smart. Hey, I figured I could ask him. We're going to open up for today now as well. So if you have a question for a coach or one of our student athletes, just to hold up your hand, state your name and affiliation, and we will do our best to find you. I think we got a couple of people back over here.
Ashley Nealon, KBMT Beaumont, and talked about it earlier, but y'all were kind of in the same situation we were, thinking that you're possibly going to be in another conference last minute. You're not. Same as Lamar. Did that create any kind of distractions or a little unusual situation for yourself?
I don't believe so. We're focused on a tough task that first game of Southern Illinois. So I was letting Richard Director Evans handle that. We were just focused on our football team and improving every day.
Yeah, if you want to appear.
For you guys, are you happy to be back in the league, be able to defend your title? If you left the league, obviously you couldn't defend it this way. You get to defend your title. What's that like?
In my opinion, football is football. It really doesn't matter who we play. If you love the game, it doesn't matter if we're playing Alabama or we're playing McNeese in our conference. Football is football. I'm ready to play. I'm excited for it. Even if we're in the WAC, we're gonna go there, and play URW brand football. And we're back in the Southland Conference. We're gonna do the same that we did last year.
Anyone else question-wise for now? Coach, there was a question there a second ago. Schedule-wise, I think about you in year one, and obviously it starts with the non-conference before you're worried about Southland play. Southern Illinois, first of all, to start out, that's not an easy opponent. They've been a perennial FCS playoff contender, and then I think about a team like Nevada going on the road. What excites you most about the start of that schedule in front of you?
Yeah, it's a tough task. They're a really good football team, very well coached, got a veteran quarterback. I'm excited that it's in Antonio. Hope it's 110 degrees out there, extremely hot. We're going to play fast. We're going to get after those guys. But, they're a very good team, and I think Kelechi said it best. We're focused on ourselves right now. But it's a tough task week one.
One thing I meant to ask both of you guys, Kelechi and Taylor. A year ago, people probably forget, but Youngstown State week one, it goes to overtime. You guys lose a 3-point game. And then I think you rattled off winning 10 of 11 and obviously winning a playoff game for the first time. And you were a yard shy of knocking off the reigning champs in Sam Houston. In terms of the start of the year, what were you guys able to do to kind of flip that switch after a tough loss week one and then carry forward? And what's sort of the message to these guys this year about trying to get off that great start?
Yeah, I think that game was it might have been the best thing for us that year because we went to overtime and we ended up losing by a field goal. I think we kind of learned how to win that. We played Prairie View week 2 and we beat them, and then we had a great win against Texas State week 3. And I think after that Texas State game, we proved to ourselves that we can win big time games, and it kind of just rolled on to the next game. So I think we learned how to win big in close games. We played a lot of great games. The Southeastern game, Nichols and McNeese. They were obviously all tough tests. So I think we learned how to close out and finish games.
I was going to ask you, Kelechi, tell me about the ability to close. It was remarkable. I think about the Southeastern win and what you guys did there. Of course, the playoff win over SFA. Take me through kind of how you guys were able to learn to finish. It's kind of the next step of building a program and the culture, winning those close games.
So there was a lot of those close games. SFA, last game, first game, Youngstown, Southeast Louisiana. I wouldn't say we closed them out very well as we wanted to. Because we didn't live by the word dominance at the time. But I feel like this year is gonna be a different story. Our brand of defense is dominance. And our whole team definition is prominence. From the first game of the season to the last game of the season. Some guys may not understand the definition of prominence, but at the end of the season, they understand the definition of it and why I said this team lives by the wins.
Coach, we talked offensively about what the team was able to accomplish last year. You're coming in, and we discussed kind of offensively the weapons you have, a guy like Taylor, a very talented receiving corps. I think about the offensive line last year, too, a guy like Nash Jones, who should be an All-American with how good he is, a couple other guys who are returning. Take me through the value of having a line that good with you coming in your first year, what you've been most impressed with by them.
Yeah, I think coming into this thing, everyone, rightfully so, talks about the receivers and the quarterback situation, but I think we have one of the best, if not the best, O-lines in the whole FCS. So I've been really, pleased with that and what Coach Shoemaker's done. He's a great evaluator of talent. He's a great developer of talent. Like you said, headlined by Nash Jones, the left tackle position. You got Caleb Johnson and Reed Francis and Stanley Mark and Chimedo Obibo and a couple other guys that have really Dorian Strong, don't want to leave him, that have really kind of embrace that role of hey, we're gonna run the ball too. Gonna do a great job protecting the quarterback, but we got to run the ball. And like Clutchy said, you got to play great defense to win championships, but you also got to be able to run the ball.
Taylor, take me through the weapons of this offense. A lot of guys back. I think about guys next to you like a Darian Chafin, a guy like Roger McCullough, who's been there and done it. What do you see right now, weapon-wise, from this offense? Who are some guys you think could break out this year?
Yeah, you said Darian Chafin and Roger McCullough are they're veterans on this team, so they know the system very well. Jalen Campbell's another guy who's a good player. We have a lot of veterans on the receiving corps. We added some new guys this year, and we got pretty much back. And then there's Marcus Cooper, who's a running back, who was a good player for us last year. So I think we have a lot more depth than we did last year, which is a good thing to have on the football team.
Clutch, I wanted to ask you about this earlier. For you and your development personally, I know something I was reading about earlier was that you've actually gone vegan in terms of that helping your progress and becoming the All-American linebacker now. Can you take us a little bit through that process and moving? I think you've also kind of moved positions to mold yourself into that linebacker role. What's that process like?
That process is like you going from high school to college, that transition, a new mindset, a new culture, a new atmosphere, so I'm thinking for 3 years now, and that's been the best decision I made in my life, with me maintaining my weight, me getting stronger in the weight room, and I feel like that's the biggest spoil of my life right now, me going vegan, me becoming the player I am, me playing all 4 quarters and not getting tired, so that right there was a blessing, and I feel like that's something that God put in my life, put in front of me, and he said, okay, I have a better option for you. I'm not saying everybody should go vegan, this and that, but I feel like that was the best thing for me. I tried it, and never looking back.
It's working out, man. I can tell you that for sure.
If I could look like him,
I was scared I'd get tackled on the stage when I saw him with the ability he has. Coach, final thing for you, as you look now ahead towards camp and what's kind of going to be the process here moving forward, kind of biggest goals you have in terms of camp, finding out, you talked about that, quote unquote, the 53-man roster. It's a little bigger than that in college football, but biggest goals for you getting ready for that week 1 game, what this team is going to have to do between now and then to get itself ready to defend the title.
Yeah, we have a lot of really good players and really talented coaches, but I think coming together as a team is number one, and then just the discipline aspect, something we really preached this spring is being disciplined, mental and physical toughness, and I think if we do those 2 things, we have a chance to be a really special football team. But we got to come together, and we have to have elite discipline in all areas.
Awesome. Well, guys, I appreciate the time so much. Best of luck this year. Best of luck defending the title, obviously, in year 1 for you. I know it's a busy one, too. You have another son at home, so I'm sure there's a lot going on in your life.
Yeah. Cooper, my newest son, really excited about that. And then Lincoln was very upset. He wanted to make sure and tell you he sent me a Snapchat this morning. He was upset that he didn't get an opportunity to come up here. So maybe next year we can do that. Yeah.
We'll make it out. We'll have a mic ready for him.
Perfect.
All right, we will take a break, come back with the newest member of the Southland Conference, Texas A&M Commerce, making their transition to division. Head coach David Bailiff, student athlete JT Smith, and D. Walker joining the Southland. Just touting, as you mentioned, joining a couple of former members in terms of a while back, renewing some of those rivalries, and then also getting a chance against some of the very best in the FCS, for instance, a couple, obviously, games on your schedule from non-conference, and then even playing some FBS opponents moving forward.
I'll tell you what, I think the Southland Conference, when I was in it before and now, is probably the strongest FCS conference, and the parity, the competition between each university is incredible. I look forward this year too. We're playing Sam to see exactly, they want it all. We want to know how we stack up against the best. We will learn as we go what kind of football team we have. I think we have a bunch of guys that are going to compete hard. Don't know what that equates into wins and losses, but I know we're going to be competitive. I know they're going to play as hard as they can play week in, week out. And, you really, as a coach, you've never been in such unknown territory. You can watch all the video you want, but until you kick it off against McNeese and Northwestern and Southeastern and you just don't know. So that increases the anxiety. It also increases the excitement. Yesterday, I was with some unbelievable head coaches. I really
really enjoyed my time in the head coaches meeting with them. It looks like the Southland is loaded with, really good head coaches, and I wouldn't expect anything else. I think Chris, the new commissioner, has done a great job. This is done so professional. It's great for these guys to experience this type of media day. And I applaud everybody at the Southland for what they have done here to really impress, these two young men. They just keep talking about how, Coach, this is just unbelievable. It's eye-opening for us, and we're having a good time with it.
You mentioned there are some uncertainties when making a move to this level. One thing that was a certainty last year, D, your guys' defense was unbelievable. Top 5 in terms of rushing, total defense, a bunch of different categories. Tell me about that side of the ball, what we can look forward to with your guys' group moving forward this year.
Yes, sir. This year, our motto is run and hit. That's what we do. I feel like this year we will have a great year. Last year it was a real good year. Coach Adibi being our defensive coordinator. We played with a lot of physicality, and this year I feel like it would be we would have more of a sense of urgency coming into the Southland Conference. And I'm just glad to be here and glad for y'all to put us in this position to be here. Sir.
JT, you've been around this program for a couple of years now. You get to obviously move up now to Division I, which is pretty special. Tell me a little bit about, just from your perspective, what you're looking forward to most about this transition to playing Division I and getting a chance to now be the marquee running back on the team for the first time.
I'm just looking forward to the competition and the level that we get to compete at, and I just think it'll be fun.
In terms of your background, this is fascinating to me, but we all know what you've been able to do from a track perspective. Division II national champion in the 100-meter dash, you're a 2-time national champion. Take us through how the speed translates to football, and just in general how special it is for you to get to compete in both track and play football.
It's a blessing to be able to compete in both sports, especially at such a high level, and it just helps me on the field so much. I just know how to get away from the defenders, and once I'm gone, there's no catching me. So.
No, that's for sure.
The best way to catch him is to sneak up on him. If he doesn't see you coming, you got a better chance.
I was about to ask you, can anyone keep up with this guy in practice?
Nah, we just play it off.
I was joking with you yesterday. If you did a 100-meter dash, how much room in terms of a head start would you need? I don't know if you can answer that question.
Average person on the team, 30 yards. I say 30, 25.
That's the bunch for sure.
I need about 7.
Coach, looking at the group you have here entering the division, we're talking about this yesterday with your background. You've coached at the high school, you coached at the D2 level, the D1 level, FCS, FBS. Tell me the differences. Scholarship-wise, that's obviously something, but now how does it become a little bit different building a roster for an FCS team playing out at the Division I level?
Well, you go up from 36 scholarships to 63. And so it's, to be honest, Division II, you almost need a general manager to keep up with how you tackle the different aid and do things. So I look forward to getting it to 63. It's a much easier math when you have those type of numbers, and it's much easier to walk to high school now and offer a young man a full scholarship versus everything at Division II is a partial, and you try to build on those partials by stacking some academic aid or military service aid. But I've enjoyed every level of football. Always been happy where my feet are. Always been around great young men that inspire you and motivate you. There's not a day that goes by. There's nothing else in the world I want to do but be a football coach. There's nothing else in the world. Been that way for 40 years. I'm excited. I'm as excited as I am today as I was 40 years ago when it started. I didn't realize I had all gray hair, right? Because when I leave in the morning, I'm not a fashion model, so I just comb it over so it looks dark to me. And then you go to the barber and they spray water on it, it looks dark to you. And then I did a press conference and they had me on the big screen. And I went, I'm all gray-headed. I didn't have any idea until they put me on the big screen. But I love what I do, and I want to do this for as long as I can do it, I think I'm 30 years old because I get to hang out with 20, 21, 22 years old. And as long as I love what I do, I'm going to continue to do it. I've loved it at all my stops. I got into college football, thought I was going to see the world. and I've seen different in Texas, and that's been a pretty good role. So, we got great things happening at the university. Like I said, we have the finest president I've ever worked for. Got a new athletic director, Eric Coleman, that's doing great things for us, and I meet young men every day. There's nowhere else I want to be but at Texas A&M Commerce.
We've talked a little bit about the ability to build programs, and you've done it at the D2 level, at the D1 level. You're one of 4 coaches to the D1 and D2 playoffs in terms of the FCS and FBS level, and then also in a bowl game. In terms of your success at different spots, Rice had a while, hadn't won a conference title. I think it was 56 years or something along those lines, and Texas State 26 years. But what's it taken from you, and sort of what is your mentality bit of maintaining consistency over the years, regardless of the stop where you are?
In Texas, you better have a great relationship with the Texas high school football coaches. There's 14,000 of them. And you need to build those relationships. I've always been fortunate to have great coaches work for me. I mean great coaches. I lost 6 coaches this year, but you lose them to the Buffalo Bills and North Carolina and Virginia Tech. And so you completely understand. And you just hire the next group of great coaches. They're out there. You hire the best people you can hire, and you think, you're lucky if you have them for 2 years. But you continue. I'd be more worried if nobody ever hired my coaches, that nobody wanted them. But I was, 6 is the most I've ever lost in 1 year. But I've replaced him with Ronnie Van Clark, who was my line coach at Rice. He's been coach at Tennessee Titans, Buffalo Bills. Curtis Fuller played at TCU, 5-year NFL vet, 12-year NFL coach. The really crazy hire this year was I lost Xavier Adibi to Virginia Tech. And then the linebacker from Virginia Tech, coach that got fired, called me and said, "Hey, you got a job opening at linebacker, and my fiance works at the college football playoffs, so I really need to move to Texas." So, you just get lucky and hire these great guys. And we've had a lot of fun doing it, and they've really. Mike Smith, my new D line coach, I recruited. You're just thrilled to have these guys. And it's like we're together. The longer you're in this, the more people you know. You just blend a lot faster. When I was a young head coach, it takes about a month to make a playbook. Now we can do it in 2 days.
A little bit faster.
Yeah, and computers help.
D, Coach mentions all the NFL background of the staff and sort of the way he's gone about building it in that regard. For you guys as a program, I think about Division II school, yet having players that are now signing NFL deals, and that's a testament to Coach and the staff he's bringing in. Take playing around those guys, a couple of guys this past year who've signed deals, playing with those guys, learning from them, and then knowing that you have a staff behind you who can mold you and get both you guys ready for the next level.
Yes, sir. Playing behind those guys, we had Cater, Armand, a lot of those guys moved on to the next level. It was a good time to play behind my man. They molded a big route for us. I mean, they opened up doors that I guess we didn't have a lot before. They did what they did, but I feel as if it was a good thing that we needed. It was a good thing we needed for them to come through and show our young guys the route. I feel like they've done it because it's things I've gained from them. Just coming from it's school too. I've gained a lot from coaches, players, everybody's really on the staff.
You've been around football a long time. You started off at Arkansas. I know you're a Georgia native initially. Take us through just kind of your journey to get into this point a little bit, what it's taken to become the player you are and where you want to kind of go this year and take you to Edwards Point.
So just really stability, keeping God first, man, talking to great people, and just keeping my head on the straight line. Yes, sir.
JT, kind of same question to you. We were discussing your track prowess and what you did. It was a couple of years off for you from track. You started off in JUCO. You jumped back into it and immediately have had success back-to-back, winning a couple of national titles. How are you able to do that? How are you able to have so much success hopping over after a couple of years off from track?
I can't give any credit to nobody but God. I just believe that I was just blessed with a talent that's very rare, and usually when a guy takes 5 years off from a sport like track, it takes some time to get back into the groove. But I was just blessed to be able to come back into it, how I left it. So thankful for that. Ready to see what comes next.
Now, for you as a running back this year, what are some of your goals? How are you going to improve now as the lead back heading into the season?
My goal is to just make up make a stand and just start a foundation for the younger guys to look up to and just do my best.
Coach, personnel-wise, looking at both sides of the ball, are there certain strengths you're seeing early on? Are there certain position groups that you're really liking? Take us through a little bit what you're seeing personnel-wise entering the season.
Yeah, I think defensively, I feel really good about our line has nice depth, our linebacker has nice depth, our secondary has nice depth. We've got 4 guys at quarterback that we don't know. Jagger LaRue, who transferred in from Ohio State at the end of spring, was a little ahead of Giave and Zadok Dinkelman and Eric Rodriguez. So we've got us in on one guy and make sure he gets more reps. But our biggest concern, we graduated 4 in the offensive line last year. So we're rebuilding an offensive line, and that's why it's exciting to have a guy like Ronnie Van Clark there that's got that kind of experience, because that's right now, even leaving spring, we've got to improve in the offensive line. We've got some nice tight ends, got nice receivers. It's the old line is where we got to make sure we get good, and we've got some nice young talent there. They just don't have a lot of.
We're going to open it up for Q&A here as well. So if you have a question, raise your hand, state your name and affiliation. I think we've got one right over here.
Robert Kip. Yes, it is working. Is it working?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Robert Kelly, Tech Sport Publications. Coach, did you have any? Sorry, did you do anything changing? Different conference, different division this year. Does it affect how you set up your game plan, what you're going to do in practice, how you coach?
Not so much game plan. Football's football. Where it does change you in your roster management is you're going up in numbers scholarship wise, and 2 with APR and GSR, now like even ones need to graduate. And so it's critical to recruit great student athletes that are going to graduate so it doesn't affect your scholarship or your rosters. So, other than really, every transcript tells a story. So you pay really close attention to those transcripts and make sure you're young men that you really believe are going to be great ambassadors and they're going to graduate for you.
Charlie Chitwood with TR Sports and Alliance Sports Network. You had all those replacements to make, the defensive side, your new DC. How much did you tell him what you wanted done, and he brings his own style?
Each coach is going to coach their own style, but we're going to, I learned all my football from Gary Patterson defensively. And so we're committed, we're going to commit 2-5 because that's what I know the best. But you let them bring in some new language and new verbiage and some of their own. If you just keep doing the same thing over and over, everybody figures out what you do. So it's good to bring in new coaches with fresh ideas and let them in some of their own plays and style. And I think it's really worked well with the new defensive coaches we all have. I think Dia tell you, they love them and they're celebrated. So we're having a good time. I'm not, like I said, my biggest concern is that offensive line. And I think Coach V will get that up to where it's a very solid performing unit by the first football game.
Any other questions for Coach right now? I think we have one over here.
Coach, Matt Fay, Beaumont Enterprise. I asked the commissioner earlier about rivalries in the league. Is there a team or program that you kind of see matching up as building a relationship and kind of love to hate sort of situation with the team in this league?
Not yet, but it's coming. I know when I was at Texas State, McNeese was the team that was always the circle on our schedule. But our people know this conference yet, and we don't know this conference yet. And it's going to be somebody. Is it going to be Houston Baptist? Is it going to be Southeast? There's going to be that red letter game. But right now, we're just going in with our eyes wide open, trying just to be competitive in each and every week and see where we are, when the game's over. We're not under any illusion that we're in here and win every game by 40 points. We're going to have to earn our way in this conference and earn our stripes, and that's what we intend to do. And I'm sure after this season, these guys are going to say, you know what? These guys robbed us. These guys, these are the guys we're going to get. And then, so those things are built, and they're not there yet, but they're coming.
You're referring to whoever you're going to need revenge on the following year from
I mean, that's just human nature that those
or maybe some other people will be after you guys don't lose them.
I think it's wonderful though. I think FCS should always be a regional conference. I think the fact that we've got Houston Baptist in there and Lamar, and a lot of these kids, the players, they know each other. That even accelerates rivalries and things. Somebody has been at camps and you don't offer them when they go to Lamar or they go to Houston Baptist or Southeast. So it's a good time for us. And like I said, it's just eyes wide open, and we're going to do our best. And it was hard just to bring these two. There was a whole bunch of guys on the team that you thought about bringing. I finally settled in. I thought, well, who's the two best looking? And so I finally settled in on the two best looking. So it really had nothing to do with their athletic ability. It was all their looks. That's why I brought them.
I'll take it.
Oh man, Coach, and to you guys also, JT and D, look at the schedule a little bit. You open up September 1, you'll play your first game, and at least as a Southland team, it'll be against Lincoln. Southland Conference opener won't be for a little while after that in Southeastern on the 8th. What are you looking forward to most when you look at that schedule? In terms of the opponents you guys have, any of you guys?
I'm just looking forward to going out and competing. We don't really know what the teams have prepared for us or anything like that. We're just going into it with open mindset and just ready to work and ready to compete.
How exciting is it to play now in some newest, get to go to a place like Sam Houston and Huntsville, get to explore some of these other places, Louisiana, when you're just playing some schools in different states. Obviously, you're mostly in Texas.
Be good. I mean, just like JT said, I'm just ready for the competition, man. I've been in now 3 different conferences out through my career, and I'm just ready to adventure throughout this conference.
Must be interesting for you now, returning to the Southland. You got some new faces in there and that sort of thing. And like we were talking about, you get to rebuild some rivalries.
When I was the head coach at Texas State, really, McNeese was the greatest place to come play because their fans were crazy. And so our fans were, after a game, our fans were kind of complaining about the McNeese fans. They said, Coach, we went and got a policeman because to try to settle them down. He said, a policeman just looked at us and said, they doing what they're supposed to be doing. He said the policeman wasn't a whole lot of help. And, you look forward to that coming back, McNeese was such a great setup, and I understand the hurricane got it a little bit, but that was such a great college environment when you would pull in there on the buses and they would moon you, and they had the RVs all set up. And, it was great. And I look forward to it again. I look forward to getting into Hammond and McNeese and Thibodeau. It'll be great for these guys to see them do the venues and meet new people and play with people. And that's what's so exciting is just the unknowns, that we're walking into. I do have a little history, and like I said, I just laugh. I will always think my first time as a head coach pulling into McNeese thing. I don't think I've ever seen that. No, hell, I want to come here and tailgate one day.
Well, we've heard all about your background, obviously, Coach, being a Texas guy. I think I heard someone, I don't know if it was a podcast or radio show, someone referred to you as the Kevin Bacon of Texas college football.
I have not heard that.
Let me ask you guys something real quick before we wrap. Tell us something we don't know about Coach. I don't know if let's try to keep it PG if we can, but anything we don't know, because we've heard a lot about it.
I've only been here 10 months, so I mean, I know him as a great guy. I know that he's a great guy. Yeah,
you prep these guys for the answer.
Yeah. Great guy.
What would you say is the funniest thing he does, or if you had anything like that?
Just being David Bailey. I mean, he's just himself, man. Great coach. That's all I can really say.
Just be good to them and love them. Yeah. Treat them like your own.
Like men. Treat us like men.
And love them and hug them and work them hard. Great things happen.
Final quick thing for you, these two guys included, but when you're looking for leaders on your football team and now having to lead at the Division I level, what sort of qualities are you looking for? And I assume both of these guys have that.
Well, one of the things you're looking for are they easy to give up their time. If you ask for a volunteer, whose hand's going up? Because if your hand's not going up to volunteer and you're not a service leader, you're not a leader. And so these guys put team first. If I ask for volunteers for anything, their hands are going up. We have too many hands go up when we ask for volunteers. But that's the first thing, I look at is service to your team, is love to your team. And this guy, both of them actually, he's excited for the offense like I've never seen, even at practice, and JT's jumping around for the defense. And so I think we have a really nice culture around of team first, of really loving the locker room. The magic doesn't happen if you don't love each other. Love's the most word in football, but when players fall in love with each other and they handle their own problems, nothing hitting my desk, you win a lot of football games. And they make great memories, and that's what you figure out too. Is life's about memories. I still go back to where I can to my reunion with my football team, and we chop up all the stories. And 10 years from now, we want this to be a great experience for them at A&M Commerce, where they're back. I think they're both going to be wealthy. So I would anticipate the JT Smith indoor. Well, I'm serious. For real. I would anticipate. What are you going to build? The D-Walk weight. Yeah, we expect big things. Later. So y'all got to be rich. I want indoors and bigger weight rooms.
Oh, hey, we appreciate all you guys. Welcome to the conference officially, Coach David. Bailiff, linebacker D. Walker, JT Smith. We're going to take a break here and then move on with HBU. We'll talk about the season next. Head coach Vic Shealy, wide receiver Carroll, linebacker Brennan Young will join out from Conference Media Day, presented by 5B1.com here on ESPN Plus.
Family. I needed a home office. I needed us to not have a roommate anymore.
Has developed as a linebacker university. Going back to Garrett Dolan and Cody Moncure, two all-conference players. Garrett was a two-time All-American. To Langston Tunstall, to Caleb Johnson.
Okay, Vic Shealy, the coach of
next to me,
Houston
that
Baptist.
led the conference.
So we're here.
Rodney Dansby. So that's at the core of the defense. But I really like Isaiah Cash as the back. He's just proven to be, I think, one of the best safeties in the league, and I expect him to be this season on the field. I'm excited about her. We own the wide receiver room where we throw the football quite a bit. So you got to have depth at that position. We really improved ourselves. Carl Reynolds, the last year in touchdown catches and yards on the season at the Navarro Junior College, the junior college product. He will be a dominant player in this league. Quarterback transfer from Northern Iowa. Certainly this room understands the history of Northern Iowa as one of the nation's best FCS programs for decades. And Justin started a lot of games last year as a redshirt freshman, transferred and had a great spring. He looks like an NFL quarterback. When you see him take the field, and he's got an arm that's probably maybe the most talented arm we've had in our program. And so we're excited about that. We've been able to bring in a couple transfer offensive linemen that we really feel like have helped. And so we feel like we kind of stocked the areas where needed to improve, but also we've just seen the growth and the maturity and the strength development has particularly been noticeable.
And I would guess, too, from a growth and maturity standpoint of the office, to have now it be year 2 for Cedric Cormier, and then hopefully have a healthy system and a healthy offense, and especially that's only going to help the evolution and the way that you guys do.
Coach Cormier came in. It's a tough situation, to kind of follow, the opposite numbers that have been put up, but we schematically and concept wise, we haven't changed very much. Certain the personalities begin to kind of change a little bit there within the unit, but we're on course. I like where we're headed. I like the job that our staff does offensively, and you got to have puzzle to give you a chance to go great. And we have a lot more players that I think fit the scheme of what we recruit for, and I expect us to once again to kind of prove to be one of the best offenses around.
Coach was talking earlier about the linebacking spot. You mentioned a little bit the way that you guys develop, but playing with a guy like Rodney and then following guys like Caleb Johnson and the way that the system has been with the linebacking core. Just take us through kind of what it's taken for you guys to get to this point in terms of how good the linebackers have been year after year.
Well, I'll say from the first year I was there till now, we really hold each other accountable in our linebacker room, and we coach off each other. Like what Coach Inshaw tells us, we'll work with each other to see how we can get better, like within the group. And we're not trying to help each other. So,
Vernon, from a perspective of you kind of being a Houston area kid and then playing in your hometown and right around the place where you grew up, how's it feel? And just what it means to kind of have so many family and friends around and that sort of thing, play for your hometown team.
I think that's great. It's always good to see your family in the stands.
What would you say is, I guess, the biggest goal of yours for the upcoming season? And even just as an offense in general, the biggest goal that you guys have entering week one, what you have to do to get ready for that point?
For the offense, cut down on penalties, turnovers, and score in the red zone. And for myself, I just want to be a all-conference player and just be that dominant player that I know I can be.
We were talking about and who you're bringing back. To have the kind of now personnel you do with so many different guys available potentially at the quarterback position. The running back spot we didn't mention also, but I know you have some bodies there as well. It seems like depth is something that could be a strength of the team.
I think so. I think last year, a true freshman, Xavier Ford, really played well as a freshman, and he's back. We feel like Art Smith, a young man out of Thompson High School there in Houston, had a great spring. He's a very athletic guy. And then we signed 3 freshmen, of which all 3 of them this summer have already shown that DNA-wise, they're going to be really good Southland backs as they grow and mature. So we feel like that room's really kind of stocked up pretty good.
I did want to ask you about this too. We were talking off the way you've developed quarterbacks. A guy who didn't play last year, but I know he played 4 years for you, Bailey Zappi. First draft pick ever for HBU, pick of the Patriots. Take me through how special that is as a program to have a guy picked for the first time and thinking about the development and what Bailey gave you guys for 4 years.
Yeah, that class is a pretty good class. You had Bailey Zappi, you had Jared Stern, who's with the Broncos as they start camp today, and Caleb Johnson all came in as freshmen. It's pretty good. And I think some other schools in the state of Texas that are pretty notable that maybe haven't had 3 guys, maybe as good as those 3 come into the league. But, I've been staying in touch with Bailey. He's a 4-year starter for us, and he'll kind of be one of my sons and a guy that I appreciate. And he and I, even as we've kind of talked about, the summer and how things are going, I know he's excited about being there at the Patriots. It sounds like the Patriots are really excited about having him and feel like he'll be competitive as a long-term quarterback in that organization. But Bailey did some things in this program that will be hard to duplicate. And I think some of his numbers nationally, I mean, he is now the NCAA Division I leader all time of touchdown yards, and that's something that may be a while before broken because he smashed it pretty good. And so I think, when you kind of look at Bailey's impact, it makes it easier to go have conversations with the next quarterback in recruiting. Without Daffy and him in our program and the success he's had, I don't think we get a guy like Justin Fomby and the DNA and already the winning experience he has from Northern Iowa. So I think, it's huge. We're recruiting good players, and everybody's trying to develop them. And so wish Bailey well and Jareth as they compete to make terms. And, I think, sometimes those guys, you remember when they were freshmen, and now you're talking to Jareth, he's talking about staying after practice, throwing with Tom Brady every day. And, you begin to see the opportunities that come, when kids work hard.
Yeah, that's got to be a decent feeling having having that football come your way. For both of you, when you think about what Coach and I are discussing there, and then also the development of a guy like Caleb Johnson, who's now made it with the Bears, is making an impact. For both of you, what does that do for your confidence level, knowing the coaching staff you have behind you and the way that now they are developing in this system?
Well, I mean, for all those guys, it was really just hard work, and they made the most out of the opportunities on the field and off the field. And they definitely don't sell us short when it comes to film or on the practice field. So I feel like it's just a combination of all that.
In terms of kind of looking at, I guess, just HBU in general, as far as schedule goes, what you guys are looking at in terms of the non-conference. I know you have some in-state opponents that you'll get to play this year. What are you looking forward to most for the non-conference, and then also as you approach?
Well, I think, for us, an opportunity as a Southland Conference school to play other FCS schools across the country, that's one of the biggest things that you have an opportunity. I know a couple of years ago, South Dakota was ranked. We went in there and had a great win there on the road, and it propelled us for 3 weeks in the rankings. And so it gives you that national exposure. That this year with Northern Colorado week 1, and then mid-season UT Martin, who won the Ohio Valley and was a playoff team. I think those are opportunities you look forward to in the program. For us, a Texas school playing a Texas FBS school, so playing Texas State will always be something that our players will really look forward to. Obviously, they know me, that they play against me in high school. Me and them will probably share some high school background. So I think that's important. And then as we get into the conference, I think having Lamar back is huge. Coach Morgan was finishing his last year as a player. My first year, I was a long time assistant there at Air Force, and so it's nice to be with Blaine. He down as a grad assistant lieutenant for us for a couple of years, and so Blaine is a good friend. So I don't like playing good friends, but I still want to be and kind of knock Blaine's lips off. So, we'll enjoy that moment. But having Incarnate Word come back, and then with Coach Bailiff, I think for all of us that know Texas football, high school football, and college football, Dave Bailiff is iconic, and the program there at Commerce is a winning program, and that combination. Commerce will be a great addition to the league.
I was going to say, it's always nice, I'm guessing, to add a possible Texas rivalry. So you get another one there for sure. We'll open up for Q&A now as well. If you've got a question, just state your name and affiliate, get to you. I think right over here we've got one.
Robert Kelly, Tech Sport. Vic, you're starting your first game on the road, Northern Dakota, up in Greeley. Do you do anything with the athletes to prepare them for playing at altitude, or do you find that's not an issue? Or
Robert, last year I opened up there in Albuquerque with about 5,000 feet, and I think Greeley's probably around 5,000, 4,500. It's not in my days at Air Force playing Wyoming at 8,500. So, we're not in that rare air. But, I think that, we talked a bit driving over yesterday. Sometimes when you're in those long runs, I think Vernon had a long pass, and I think he got up and I kind of realized that it was not probably quite at sea level any longer. But, I think at that level, it's not really. When I was at Air Force, there are all kinds of studies done on altitude, and we enjoy seeing people suffer at 7,000 feet. We won't suffer at 4,500, and it'll probably be about 20 degrees cooler than it is right now in Houston. So our guys will be excited to play that day.
Next question, the brutal heat we're having over in Houston. I noticed a lot of the early games are later, 6 p.m. start. Are you doing anything special? Anything that you're doing to deal with the heat? Because I know a lot of the high school practices are pushed in evenings, early mornings. You doing anything such as that?
Yeah, the first 2 will go in the evenings. It gives us actually a chance to lift them harder, to meet and have walkthroughs. We can walk through inside the gyms and things where you kind of just keep them from the heat. But by the time we hit 7:30, about 8 o'clock, you think you're in Hawaii. So, it feels great. So that's been successful for us in previous years where it's been pretty hot. And then we'll transition a couple of weeks to early mornings. It gives us a chance to become a little more acclimated to the heat. And we'll kind of let that carry us into game week, which is now practically in the afternoon. So I thought last year I probably took them into New Mexico a little bit tired. It was a hot summer also. So really trying to work hard. And we're kind of adjusting how some things are done. Just real quick, I think there are some contemporary thoughts about how many days you practice hard. We're having a day where you kind of take the pads off and we do some things more with the kicking game to really bring the guys back quicker so that you never send them into kind of that red zone. So we're looking at some areas where science is kind of driving us in terms of having them best prepared.
I mean, I've played in it since I was little, so it's nothing new.
I've been in Houston since I was born, so I'm used to it at this point.
This question was, Coach. I think another thing too, we were discussing this earlier, but the strength of this conference, we talked about a few years back and what he did from a quarterback perspective. I think about all the record setters that they're at the quarterback position, and now guys, we talked about 2 draft picks over the past year. You've been here longer than anyone, like we discussed, from a talent perspective, and then also just balance perspective of the league as a whole. It feels like a really good place right now as it moves towards multiple F-SPIDs year in, year out.
Yeah. Well, I tell you, I really commend, Chris Grant and just the leadership of the conference. Our athletic director, Steve Magliacci, has been intimately involved, as with the other athletic directors, to try to make sure that the history of the Southland Conference in that branding is something that is grown and not just saying. I think that we've also a little bit of short history. You look at the Louisiana schools and you see immensely talented program. Obviously, Coach Rebo does a fantastic job at Nichols. I hugely respect what Brad does there at Northwestern. Obviously, Frank's got it rolling there at Southeastern. And, it'd be kind of fun to see another new coach there at McNeese. And there's a lot of big explosiveness too. So I think the Louisiana schools will always be in the thick of this conference. Huge respect on the Texas side for the conference that exists. But, I think kind of getting some of the numbers back up on Texas, where it's now 4 against 4, that's a good thing for the conference to have a little bit of that rivalry and kind of have less fit off each other. But, these are great times for the league. And I know right now we're talking tough times, trying to figure out what conferences look like. And they're more on conferences than they are times on players. Soon we'll get back to talking about players. But, I bet I was a defense coordinator at Kansas for coming to HBU. And when I was there, we were going through whole conversations at that time too. This is nothing new. I think about every 10 years we got to stir it up all over again and then settle back down. And things will and we'll have a fun time playing.
Brennan, I wanted to ask you about this too before we finish. Academic All-Star for you another time. For years now, HBU is at a representative. How important that is to you to earn that kind of honor, and really what it's taken for you to be that successful classroom and then on the field. We know what a great all-conference player you are.
Well, personally, I really appreciate it. I'd like to be recognized for doing good. I guess everybody does, and I just turn in my work. There's not much to it. I just turn it in and try to do my best on it. And that's it, really.
So unlike my assignments on time in high school and college, basically. Okay.
That's all it is.
Noted, man, for sure. Coach, real quick, tell me something about each of these 2 guys that we might not know, or what impresses you most, something funny, whatever you got for us.
Well, collectively, both of them had over 3.5 GPAs. They graduated inside of 4 years. They're already in their masters, so they are the true student athlete. This day and time, with all the conversations going on with the contemporary topics, we've at the core of it, it's about young men having an opportunity to better themselves as men and educated men. So I have huge respect for them. I look at Brennan, and it's not common sometimes to linebackers have to suffer in this game. We can laugh and talk that about week 2 season, if a linebacker doesn't have a shoulder that feels like it's going to fall off and he hadn't hit anybody. But Brennan will not stop. Brennan played almost every single snap for us last night, every snap. And Mr. John Wick, your rider, and the hair kind of just does it. for me. That
Yeah,
one.
no, that's fantastic, Lily.
Yeah, but Brendan is, I mean, he models what a man looks like, and loves the game. I'm grateful with the things he's accomplished as a player. He could have been a fifth-year transfer, probably been at FBS school. He chose to stay at H, and I am grateful for both these guys. Vernon, we looked at 2020, and we went up to Kentucky and beat Eastern Kentucky. The second half, we don't win that football game without Brennan's effort. He made 3 or 4 catches that All-American type catches, and he made Beta look good that day. And so this guy here can do something special. When you get your guy that's had to endure injury, had several seasons where the injury component just robbed him of some of what comes with hard work, and to see him choose to say that my football career's not with yet, knowing the impact he can have, and he's the best looking man comes to that, almost today, and a big old tall receiver like that, is what the NFL guys, and when they come in the sprint, I want to know who number 14 is.
Awesome. Well, that's good stuff. Hey guys, we appreciate your time for sure. Best of luck this season, and yeah, it's been fun catching up. I appreciate these. All right, that is AU head coach Vic Shealy, along with Brendan Young, an all-conference linebacker, Vernon Harrell, a wide receiver. We got a lot more to get to. We got Southeast.
Okay, once again, this wraps up today's first part of Southland Conference Media Days. We'll have it later on. We'll have another group of coaches, so we'll have the next part probably later on this evening. So once again, everybody have a good rest of your afternoon, and we'll see you later.